Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And today I, Lars, come to you with yet another rant. This rant is going to sound maybe a little bit of a duh. He's like, come on, Lars, of course what you're about to say makes sense, but you know what? It needs to be said yet again, because it's amazing how often things that should be common knowledge and common sense just don't make it through people's heads. And my rant today is this: feedback influences your stories. And so you better have some pretty good feedback. Here's the deal. There are quite a few writers out there who walk this path of pride and self-centeredness and self-importance that when it comes to the editing process of their stories and when it comes to sharing their stories, they want to hear all that good, wonderful praise. You love it. But you know what? They then just clam up and get super defensive, super angry and angsty when anyone says anything critical about their stories. That is not the attitude that you should have. And one of the things I've seen is that a lot of this particular attitude, it kind of stems from this idea that you know what is best for your story, and so therefore you are the one who should only ever have final critical say in what's going on. And to a certain extent, that is true. You are writing your story. But you have to open yourself up to criticism, to advice, to suggestions in order to better what you have in front of you. But you have to open yourself up to suggestions, to advice, to criticism in order to better the story that is right in front of you. There are quite a few authors out there who do not want advice or insight on their stories because they understand that feedback is going to change what they are writing. Now, once again, it's kind of like, okay, well, Lars, we've talked about this before. You need to have a good writing group. You need to make sure that you are taking good advice. Editing is a new kind of hell. It is the 10th level of hell that no one really wants to go to, but it's absolutely necessary in order for our books to become what they should be. Why are we rehashing this? Well, one of the things that I have seen when talking with novice writers is once again this fear of how your book might change. This is something that might sound really strange at first, but there are a lot of people who, when they start creating an outline for their story, or when they write the first draft to their story, it's beautiful. It's what they wanted. And suddenly, as people begin giving their feedback, their criticism, when they share with others, they notice slowly but surely that the outline is changing, that the draft is changing, the characters start to change. Suddenly, scenes are not what you originally intended them to be. Maybe an entire subplot disappears, or a new subplot is introduced. Maybe new characters come into the mix. And there are quite a few authors who are kind of terrified of that because, is it my story now? Is someone influencing me? Are they writing their story through me? It's amazing how many authors actually have this particular fear. So what I want to let you know is this. No, you aren't being controlled. You'll know that you're being controlled by someone else and that they are trying to make you write their story when they're basically tearing down everything that you've written and are basically telling you from the ground up what kind of story they want you to write. Oh, you know what? I don't like the way that this character is written. They should have this kind of power. They should have these kinds of traumas in their backstory. Oh, they should fall in love with this person. They should go on this kind of a quest. And you know what? I don't like this world building aspect. Instead, you should do this. In fact, you know what? Take out this entire continent, put another one in its place. That's when you know that someone is trying to control your story. Don't let that happen. It's pretty easy. Just say no and move on. But you need to open yourself up to proper criticism, where someone says, look, this scene doesn't quite work. Or you know what? This aspect of your world building is a little too complex. Try to simplify it. That is what you need. And you need to let this kind of advice and criticism come into your life, into the life of your story, because it will make it better. Don't be afraid to let feedback influence your story. Find your friends, find other people who are writing, and bring them into your writing group in order to get the feedback that you need, get the criticism that you need in order to make the story that you truly want to write. Feedback is crucial, and that's one of the reasons why, once again, we're always saying, get yourself a writing group. And if you don't have a writing group wherever you are, please reach out to us. That's what Camille's Harem is there for, to help other writers finally create the stories that they've wanted to write for so long, or the story that's just right now popped into your head and you need to share it with someone. Share it with us. We would love to talk about it with you. That is why we have our subreddit open for you guys to come on over and check that out. Now then, that's pretty much my rant right there, but it needs to be said because, once again, I just see this so often, especially with young writers, that they are afraid of other people changing their stories, or they are afraid of their stories changing. That is just a part of the writing process, and you need feedback, and you need to have a writing group so that way you can learn what feedback is healthy and what feedback isn't for your book. Now, all of that being said, I do need to acknowledge that we are in the month of November, the very beginning of the month, and there are a lot of you who might be contemplating or have already started the NaNoWriMo challenge, meaning that people are trying to write an entire novel within a month. I want to give you guys some definite encouragement because I am right there with you trying to write a book during this month, but also I want to give you some advice. Beyond what I've already just given to you here in my rant. Some advice right here is this. Set simple goals for yourself. Throughout the week, say, I'm going to write so many words this day, I want to get to a certain point this day, so on and so forth. Don't try to do anything grandiose. Set simple goals. Second bit of advice is this. Reward yourself every week for the goals that you have met. You need to have that reward as you go along because that will help to encourage you into the next week. Writing can get hard. Writing can be tiring. You need those rewards. Third and final bit of advice is this. Share your progress with others. Especially if you have a writing group, share it with them. If you don't have a writing group, once again, share your progress with us. We want to hear it. We want to encourage you. This is a pretty awesome month. It's pretty awesome that people set aside time to try to write something. And that's pretty beautiful from a writer's standpoint. Just going to say. Alright, so that's pretty much all I have to say for this particular video. I encourage you guys in all of your writing endeavors. And if you are looking for some more writing advice, maybe something a little bit more concrete and more in-depth, then please go check out our podcast, Camille's Harem, found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We also have writing exercises for you to check out over at our Pinterest page. And like I said earlier, if you want to get into discussions with us, if you have anything you want to share, please head on over to our subreddit. It is open there for you. And finally, I just want to thank you guys for checking out this video, for being a part of this adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.